Hey guys, thanks for joining us tonight. I know we're a little bit behind. If you can share this video and get this shared to a few different groups and pages, that would help us. Rural Oregon Patriots would be a good one to get this posted onto before we get things going. We're going to go ahead and bring Ammon Bundy on, so bear with us for just a minute as we make sure we have all the technicalities worked out, and then we're going to start hopefully answering some of the community's questions and putting some minds at rest. I know there's been a lot of frustration and confusion. That's typically the government's way of rolling, so we're not overly surprised. But that is the purpose of tonight's live stream video, is just to answer some questions. You guys can ask the questions on this live stream, and we will take time on my laptop. I will find those questions and we'll try to answer some. And keep in mind also, we all have families. My whole family's here, so at any moment, kids are probably going to come in and be a part of this, so just bear with us tonight. Ammon, go ahead and go now to the Gavin Sign for Liberty page, and we should be able to see you when you log into that.
Alright, I got on the wrong page here, so I'm almost there.
Okay, no problem. People, be patient. We're just building the audience right now. I'm going to actually get this shared in a few places too while we're waiting. As soon as we see you come on, Ammon, we're going to try to pull you in. Ammon's going to try to do this from his laptop. If that doesn't work, we're going to go ahead and switch up and use the phone.
So how do I see you live? Do I go live with you?
Yep, you click, you ask to, Hi, Lisa. Hi, Elias. Lots of blessings in the background. So,
I see you now.
okay, did you click to join the live stream? Now we'll wait just a second. I think I heard the beep. We're also going to do a drawing tonight, guys, for Sarah. She asked us to do a drawing for today's winners, so we'll do that before we log off. Did you click to join that, Ammon?
Okay, I went to live. Now, what do I do to come on?
Did you click join the live stream?
Depends on what device he has. He might have to...
Yeah, I think, Ammon, we're going to have to hang up, and I think if you cut... Lisa, if you have him do it right from this phone, then he can watch our video, and there's going to be a little button to click to join the live stream. So we're going to have to hang up with you guys, and you can go ahead and do it off the phone. Did you hear that? We're hanging up with you now.
Alright.
So you can do it off the phone.
Okay.
Bear with us for just a minute, guys. We're going to go ahead and we've hijacked Gavin's Sign for Liberty page. Thank you, Gavin, for letting us use your page. We're going to just have a discussion. There was a 91-page document put out by the government, the prosecution, regarding Ryan Payne's sentencing. And it's created some controversy in the community and also a lot of questions. So our goal tonight is just to sit down with Ammon Bundy and answer some of those questions the best that he can. We've got some questions that we've been seeing amongst the community members. And so we're going to ask some hard questions for Ammon tonight and get hopefully some answers that will put some minds at rest regarding the Malheur wildlife occupation in 2016. Ryan Payne was just sentenced today to 3.5 years. I'm sorry, 37 months. Maybe that is 3.5 years. 3 years.
3 years and 1 month.
Three years and one. Was it 1 month?
Yeah, 37 months be 36 and 1.
So he was, bear with us, we're a little bit tired. So let's see, as soon as we see Ammon log in from...
Maybe send him a request or...
Well, as soon as we see it, it'll say
okay.
Ammon Bundy joined. And then, as soon as we do that, as soon as we see that on here, we'll go ahead and click join live stream. Let's see. I'm going to type this, Ammon. Ammon has been in jail for 2 years, so some of this is not only confusing, but Ammon, when you join, see if there's a tab to click on the video that says join. What does it say? Does it say join, or I haven't seen them pop up here?
Yes, Danielle, this is live right now. We're waiting for Ammon Bundy to join us. He's supposed to join us just shortly. So we're trying to watch the messages that are popping up on here. So when Ammon comes on here, hopefully he has some help on the other side to join us. I see Sarah Red is watching right now.
Hi, Sarah. We love you. You're awesome.
I don't know if she has the technology or not to try to help Ammon or not. There.
Right. Sarah, can you just head over there and maybe help him? We'll just be patient with this. When anybody plays this back, you can maybe just comment to come on in at, you know, the 5-minute mark or something like that, because this will take just a second to get this up and going. But this will be Ammon's first time trying to actually log in and go live since he's been out of jail. Usually, Sarah, can you go and help, please? Usually he'll just call and I'll go live from my page and we'll do audio with him, but we actually wanted you guys to see Ammon's face, hear these answers. He's really the one that can answer a lot of these questions now that Ryan has been sentenced and can't be here to answer some of them. We have our pages laid out, so we know kind of what we're going to be bringing up and asking.
Hi guys, I see everybody saying hi, and different people, a lot of people here I recognize from other live streams. Thanks for joining us. I see Christian and Danielle Holmes is on here also. Their case I've been trying to follow as closely as I can. Their baby was taken away from them in Alabama. It'll be 2 years this coming October. I see Lisa Bundy's on here also. So
it would probably be from Lisa's account.
Okay.
Where did it say? Okay, Lisa, so I am going to bring you on camera. You could just click accept and then the screen will split and we'll be able to see you and hear you. Although I was hoping Ammon would use his page so we could pull in his audience, but Lisa probably has about the same audience as long as she doesn't have this set to friends only.
Let's see here. Okay.
I think it's trying to pull her in. So guys, you have to have your phone turned, I believe, sideways. Is that correct?
Yeah,
I think you need to turn it sideways so that it's horizontal. I know it's so frustrating, but you guys are awesome, and thank you for everybody for bearing with us. This technology thing is frustrating.
There we go.
There he is. All right, so let's clear our screen so we can actually see him. Thanks, Ammon. Sorry,
yeah,
that's kind of frustrating.
People think that I'm ignoring them on Facebook, and it's really I don't do Facebook much, and
you know
I don't spend time on Facebook. So anyway, so it's not that I'm ignoring or even not responding to you.
So. When somebody thought that you marked their comments spam, I thought there is no way Ammon even knows how to do that.
Yeah, I don't want to even know. That maybe that's bad. Maybe I should, but can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's not super loud, but we can hear you okay.
I think I'm gonna
I
do something dangerous here and try to connect the Bluetooth real quick.
Okay. All right, we'll bear with you on that one. It went split, so we're gonna have to be a little closer together, but see, this is what family does, brothers and sisters, right?
Yes.
We're not afraid of each other. Uh-oh, Ammon paused because he tried to do his Bluetooth.
So we don't know if this is going to work yet or not.
That was a dangerous move to do the Bluetooth. Ammon, if you don't on your page.
Oh, we lost Ammon.
We lost Ammon. All right.
So there you go right there again.
Is he back? Okay, we'll go ahead and pull it in from Lisa. I'm just not sure if it's set to friends only. I guess we could hop over there and see if because most of her.
Well, a live stream.
All right.
All right, don't do that again.
I know I scared you, but now can you hear me better?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Thanks for coming on.
yeah, let's get going, I guess.
Yeah, it's late. I'm not sure what is your time frame, Ammon? Do you have like an hour to dissect some of this, or is that just going to be way too much?
No, that's probably okay. If we have to
Okay.
go that long, that's fine.
Okay, we might not, but I'd like to open it up for some questions and make sure that, we resolve as much as we can, as much as you possibly can on a live stream tonight. I know there's been a lot of questions and concerns about this. So maybe we'll just open it up by asking if you have anything you want to start with, your reaction to it. Did you already know these recordings existed before I sent you the link to the documents?
I didn't know they existed. I knew that there was conversations that were discussed in our trial with OMA. I knew that they were in quite detail, but I had no idea that someone would have recorded hours and hours and hours of these conversations with each other. And like I said, for the most part, I didn't know what conversations were going on among that group. And so we can get into that later. But besides just knowing that they were communicating, I had no idea that, how much or in what detail.
Okay. So the Operation Mutual Defense, this was just one of the many groups involved in some of the stuff that happened at the refuge. This wasn't a main group. I know the prosecution today talked a lot about Ryan Payne being the most culpable, the main leader in the group. But would you counter that and say that that's just not the case?
Well, I mean, I don't know about the OMA. I don't know what the influence was there, organization structure, or whatever it was. I know that Ryan Payne was there and became aware of the Hammonds. He was concerned for the Hammonds, just like so many other people were. He tried to, get elected representatives. He had people that came and passed out flyers for community meetings. He helped organize the Committee of Safety. He communicated with county commissioners, state representatives. This is what we were doing. I mean, and Ryan Payne was very, he worked hard to try to get the proper form of government, to try to get our republic form of government to work in protecting the Hammonds. And that's just the facts. And I saw it firsthand. I saw many others do it, but I saw very few do it as passionately and work as hard as Ryan Payne. So and I'm not, minimizing the work that everybody else did, because there was a tremendous amount of work from many, many different groups, Pacific Patriot Networks, from COWS, from Coalition of Western States, and many, many other groups, whether they were individuals, whether they were organizations, or whether they were militia groups. That's just what was happening.
So you saw him as somebody with a common goal out there, basically just to help the Hammonds and try to restore some sense of the republic that was being lost.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Payne is no fool. He's a very educated individual, and what I mean by that is, most of it is self-educated, but there's very few people that are actually as bright and has as much understanding as Ryan Payne. And so that's just a fact. I mean, and he has seen things that most people will never see. He's seen things most people will never understand. He's experienced things, and he's also been attacked by those that should be his friends, and for just the way people to understand that Ryan Payne is a devout Jewish man, and he understands his religion, his belief, and he respects others. But what I've noticed dealing with the Jewish people, or those who are of the Jewish religion, if you will, or of that, or descendants of Jewish descendants, there is definitely a difference by even the way you think. Americans think, but it is a very good thing. But what it causes is it causes a lot of people to not understand them, and to really draw some, in many cases, some rash opinions. And I believe that this has happened to Ryan Payne. But as far as someone who understands principles of liberty, someone who is willing to stand for those things and understanding really what is happening in our country, there's very few people that understand that better than Ryan Payne.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. I haven't known him for years and years, but from what I have met and known of him, my mom keeps calling. She's as relentless as I am. But from what I have learned of Ryan Payne, he is a man of great conviction and great dedication. And he also loves the Lord, and he loves his neighbors. And that's a lot of why we wanted to come together tonight and talk about this document, the recordings that were translated through these documents, because. Sorry, are you still there, Ammon?
Yeah, I'm there. You cut out, but I didn't catch the last few words.
You're paused on my screen, and it actually looks like you might be paused on the main screen. Can anybody tell me if you're paused on my end? Do you still see yourself moving on the camera, Ammon? Or
yeah, I'm moving.
Okay, all right. Well, it's frozen for me, so maybe it's okay. So anyway, I think we wanted to do this just to see what questions were out there, and then we had pulled out some of the main things that we saw that were some of the biggest questions that came out in these recordings. There's been a lot of shock because most people didn't understand that there was any communication whatsoever before the second regarding the refuge. And so we'll kind of get into a little bit of that, and then maybe you can help us understand some of the statements from your perspective that Ryan and some of these others made, and help people to understand, whether or not that was a direction you were willing to go. Why didn't any of those things happen that Ryan discussed? I'm sorry, like I said, my mom is really relentless. And so with that being said, I think the first question that I've seen a lot of people ask, okay, so I have some trolls calling me and texting me relentlessly as well. So that's very interesting. I've never gotten these texts. I've just got 20 text messages about subscriptions that I didn't sign up for. So anyway, if you would answer the statements first, if we could talk about the statements that were made, I believe it was December 15th, and I'll grab that form right now, where they actually discussed the refuge. And I know some people have made statements feeling frustrated. Okay, was there a conspiracy already? We didn't think there was. We thought this all. We all thought that this just came about on the 2nd, and now we're feeling like there was this conspiracy, and that it wasn't just that the refuge was discussed. It was also the fact that it was discussed amongst all these recordings where there was violence discussed. And when I say violence, I mean taking people hostage and breaking people out of jail. Those are things we would consider a use of force. And so maybe if you'll just talk first, regarding the refuge, and if you want to share maybe how that came about, help people understand why Ryan was bringing that up a couple weeks before it actually happened, and how that connected to you and your final decision to go there.
First of all, people have to understand, I was never on a conversation with Ryan Payne and the staff or whatever of OMA. There was never I was never on a conference call with them, and never had a discussion with them about what we were going to do and all of that. I did have conversation with Ryan Payne himself, because he was in Burns, in Harney County. And I was going back and forth. We were both working and trying to talk with Sheriff Ward, and we were both experiencing, along with many others, our local representatives, or the Hammond's local representatives, ignoring the people. And remember, that's what was happening. And they were told by the FBI to not communicate with us, meaning the local representatives, state, county, and the sheriffs were told not. Us. So this caused a huge frustration for everybody, including the community, including the local people, everybody there. It was extremely frustrating because we're wondering, why in the world are our local representatives not even, call us back on a phone call or set up a meeting with us? Why are they ignoring us? We find out that it was the FBI. So once this, began to happen and we began to see that we were being intentionally ignored, we started having to ask the question, what are we going to do now? Right? And we had multiple conversations, not just between Ryan Payne and I, between groups of the community members, the Committee of Safety, ranchers, business people, all kinds of individuals and groups, including other groups such as the PPN and the Coalition for Western States, which is elected representatives from other states, including these. So these were the conversations that we were having. And I was presenting to all of them, including Ryan Payne, that we have to do more. We cannot allow them to just ignore us and allow them to just literally throw these people in prison for doing no wrong and being railroaded in the courts. We can't allow this to happen. And to propose things such as, like, taking a harder stand, as I've put it. And what I mean by that is, I propose, like, well, why don't we go and gather some funds, buy some cattle, and we'll go put those cattle right back on the Hammond's ranch that they've been denied use of for over 5 years. And we'll put those cattle out there, and we'll protect those cattle, and we'll make sure that those cattle stay there, and then we'll profit from those cattle. That's the kind of stuff. Also, talked about to the community about doing prescribed burns on the Hammond's ranch, going out there as a community and doing prescribed burns without a permit from the Bureau of Land Management or the Forest Service or any of that garbage, because of what they're doing. And so these were the things. And I also proposed, well, why don't we go into the refuge and begin to occupy it? Oregon's a big occupy state. We can go into the refuge and occupy it. These were several, the refuge was one out of several to bring more light and attention to the plight of the Hammonds and to what is happening in Harney County. And so as far as the conversation that Ryan might have had with his other OMA members, that doesn't surprise, about going into the refuge, that doesn't surprise me at all, because he probably talked about other options such as, putting cattle on the range, doing prescribed burns, or whatever else it might be. And so, and it wasn't until January 2nd.
They definitely picked and choose what they shared with us. There was countless hours of these recordings, but they definitely picked and choose to make sure that people saw that the refuge was discussed.
Well, and that brings up a really good point. Because here, I hear, and I'm not huge on Facebook, so I don't really get a sense of things, but I hear that there's a little bit of an outrage, with the community, like somehow they were deceived that there really was this conspiracy or something. And I want to remind people, who wrote the 91 pages? It's these lying, no good for nothing prosecutors that are being paid to destroy our liberties and to accuse. They're the great accusers. How many innocent people have they put in prison? How many innocent families have they assisted federal agencies in taking their lands, taking their liberties, and even killing. And yet, you lost the 91 pages and how they put it, and the order in which they made it, and now all of a sudden Ryan Payne really was a mean, domestic terrorist. I mean, remember who wrote these pages. These individuals are liars. Go to that point, and there I could see you now. So
I'm sorry. It looks like it's actually our favorite Nevada troll who's texting me. I saw her number repeatedly, so I left you guys for a minute so I could block her phone number. And then if it continues, I'll go ahead and leave this for a minute and block notifications so that no calls can come in during this, because it appears those who say they want the truth really don't want to hear the truth when people are trying to share it. So anyway, I'm sorry about the interruptions, and we'll just try to work through those. People are disgusting and vile these days and claim to be things that they're not. So, so I can see you now, and I got that blocked. So where were you at?
Well, I was just, wanting to draw out the reality of what is really happening here, how they're trying to demonize Ryan Payne. Yes, they're afraid of him. Why? Because Ryan Payne, one, understands truly what's going on. He has experienced it. He has been, served in the military where he was required to do atrocious things. He has felt a tremendous amount of guilt. I've spent a lot of time with Ryan Payne. He has spent a tremendous amount he has built up inside him a tremendous amount of guilt for his actions, in commission of the federal government. And he just does not believe, and neither do I, that what they were doing over there across seas was anything in the form of protecting and defending the liberties of the American people. What they were doing is raiding and pillaging the villagers over there. And then now he comes over here and sees, what are they doing over here? They're raiding and pillaging the American people. How are they doing it? Over in Iraq, they're taking the land and the resources and benefiting from them through force. What are they doing over here? They're taking the land and the resources and benefiting from them through force. And Ryan Payne sees this, and he says to himself, I cannot allow this to happen. I have seen it before. I have taken an oath to protect and defend, and I understand these things. And that's what it's about. And so, take it for what it's worth.
Somebody said earlier today that it's not fair to look at Ryan Payne through a civilian's eyes, because he is not just a civilian. He has been in 2 tours in Iraq. He has been in active combat. And so it's very unfair to look at him through the eyes of an everyday average citizen. And so when we read through these 91 pages, we're reading through them, many of us, with the eyes of a civilian. And I think that it's fair to say, and I don't know if you'd agree or disagree, but I think that what we read in here doesn't even scratch the surface of what these men that are in active combat, and women, are asked to do and discuss. And so, I hear people saying they were talking about taking hostages. Well, one, there were no plans actually made. It was banter amongst these men talking about what their options are. But it was also banter among military men, many of which were actually informants, and others that were military. And so they understand what combat looks like. They understand what war looks like. And you could tell in some of these conversations that they were kind of role-playing a little bit, like they were back at war. How are we going to protect our borders? How are we going to get the Hammonds free? Where are we going to put up our boundaries to keep people safe? And so I would ask the viewers, that those of you who understand what's been going on and have read that document, to try to put it put on the glasses of a combat vet and look at it through his eyes, and it might not be quite as scary, although it's things we don't agree with and that Ammon immediately shot down when any of it came to his knowledge, even in a minor form. But that it really wasn't things these guys were going to carry out. But for the combat that these individuals have seen, it really wasn't out of the ordinary for something they might have been bantering about when they're talking about something like what they were talking about, helping people not be taken hostage, meaning the Hammonds.
Yeah, I mean, they were concerned for the Hammonds. At least the non-informants were, which was the minority in this group. But but they were, those that were there for the right reasons were concerned for the Hammonds, and they, they did not want. Once they were there was no way to really get them out, and we're experiencing that right now. I mean, look at all the wickedness that has been exposed when it comes to, these cases, and especially the Hammonds, and yet they still sat in prison. I mean, look at all the prosecution's misconduct, their bias, their deceit, their misrepresentations, and they knew this and knew that once they were in there.
Hold this thought. I'm going to go out of the live stream. I don't think it will disconnect. I think it will hold, and I'm just going to I'm just going to block all phone calls for right now. So if you'll give me just 1 second, guys, if for any reason this disconnects, then I'm going to reconnect it. Computer, and we'll come back on and finish this up, and that way no calls can be coming in. I did this off my phone. I didn't realize that Wicked would be with us. So hang on just a minute. Oh, so we lost Ammon, so he'll come back on in just a quick second. So I think I got the do not disturb on my phone, so this obsessive woman in Nevada will stop calling me and her little group of trolls so that we can get this finished up. So we'll wait for Ammon to join back in. As soon as I see him back on the line, then we'll pull him back in. And we'll get to some more of the specifics that we want to read from this 91-page document and ask Ammon some of his opinions about it and his reaction to some of it. And then we will go ahead and move to questions and see what questions people have out there. I know that many of us were very uncomfortable with the things that we read. They're not things that we would ever participate in, and for us non-combat-minded people, it's not even anything that we would ever discuss, even playfully. I know that there were statements made about breaking people out of jail. I will say that for the informants that were on this phone call and this meeting that was recorded, that was saved, and then was later turned over to the federal courts through a warrant. I know for myself, and I also know for John Lamb and others that have been out here on the ground, that we have had people come to us and say the very same things. So I know that it's scary, but the difficult thing about this, to help the public understand, is that there are many informants around us on most days. And so while it might feel frustrating that these conversations were engaged, okay, hang on, let me pull them back in. While it might feel frustrating that these conversations even happened, they only happened because they were first introduced by the informants. And so while we're not condoning the conversations that took place, I am here to say that I myself had people approach me in Portland that that talked crazy talk, and one of them individually I knew was an agitator informant, and I separated from him. He carried around a backpack with rope. He kept talking about going in and breaking the prisoners out. He wanted to camp outside of the prison every day down in Portland. This is after about, I don't know, maybe 6 months of me being down there. And I really felt, what my spirit told me is that the federal government was very unhappy with the way I was protesting. And so they sent this individual in to try to bait me into conversations and see where it would lead. And I'm not military minded. I've never been a part of an operation or doing anything like that. So of course I told the man that he was crazy and I didn't want to have any more conversations with him. And I completely severed from him. But this man actually went back and stayed in some of the homes with one of the defendants at trial. And so, you know, I want the public to understand that this whole issue of informants is a real thing, and that when people start talking in ways that, you know, alarm you, that's usually when it's time to say, hey, like Ammon did when it was presented to him, hey, we're not going down that road. We're not discussing that. We're not using force. This conversation's over. And really, that's the best thing to do when you think that you have a federal agent trying to entrap you in conversations that he will later use against you in court. So, okay, I'm glad you're back on, Ammon. So there was a couple things, and I think I'm going to turn the camera for a minute back on to John. There was a few things we read that we wanted to read to you and see what your reaction is, and maybe see if any questions come up from the public. I hope already by now people's minds are starting to be understand that what they read in these. This woman's trying my patience. It's a true story. She's trying my patience right now.
Well, maybe she's getting a little attention. That's what she needs. We should all just love her.
Well, she needs some paycheck.
Put our arms
I do
around
love her. I do love her. I do love her and her friends. Anyhow, so some of these things that were read, let's maybe read them and read them out in the public and kind of see what your response is, and see if we can continue to diffuse this situation and help people to understand what it means when you're just, you know, maybe having military banter like these guys were having, and maybe you can let know when it came to you what you did with it. So let's see.
Which one do you want to go with?
Well, the public, and I don't know if you want to comment on the Timothy McVeigh statements, but there's a few statements made about Timothy McVeigh being the first patriot of the Second American Revolution. And I've seen some of our own defendants in the case commenting that they were very concerned about that. And let's see, the statement, it was on line 18, Exhibit A. Hunt spoke about Timothy McVeigh. Hunt shared that he corresponded with McVeigh at the end of his life. Hunt said that he wrote articles and posted his correspondence with McVeigh on his website. Hunt said that he regarded McVeigh as the first patriot in the Second American Revolution, and he defended his actions attacking a government building. I know how I feel about that statement and what I believe its purpose possibly was, but maybe, I don't know if you want to say, there's been questions from, like I said, your co-defendants about that statement and the concern that Hunt defended McVeigh's actions attacking a government building.
Well, okay, so this is a conversation among what, 5 to 10 people, right? And one of them,
I think this was 5 people. And
one of the individuals comments and basically says that he thinks that Timothy McVeigh is a patriot. And does that mean that all the rest of them agree with that? Does that mean Ryan Payne agrees with that? I don't know. And one is, I wasn't on that conversation, so I wouldn't want to speculate what they believed and what their belief was and all of that. But I do believe that anything that is said by anybody that the prosecution can use against somebody, they do it. They do understand that the individual didn't say that the individual, and the judge allows them to do. I mean, I can draw the line there on
Ammon,
that.
Ammon, we're going to end this. I'm going to allow Melissa Lauder to ruin this, so I'm going to go live off another device, and we're going to be back on live with Ammon Bundy on the Gavin Sign page. 5 minutes. See you all 5 minutes back on this page. Oh, I'm still live. Okay, I just finished asking Melissa Lauder to cease and desist from calling me again. So we're going to go live back. I'm going to hang up and go off of a device.